Living in the Past is a Turtle, Mysteries of Azeroth, and Everlook Broadcasting production. This is Living in the Past, your Everlook Broadcasting Company monthly show about all things Turtle, Mysteries of Azeroth. Today is Friday, August 23rd, 2024, and I'm Dan, your host for the next hour. There's been a lot that's happened since the previous show and this one, and I feel like with the way I was talking about what happened with the Turtle WoW YouTube page, I may have been tempting fate there. Yeah. I'm reminiscent of many of the words that I said in response to that situation. Because everything else happened since then. And we are now 3.5 weeks post-hack. And my goodness, has that been a whole situation. Now, obviously I say that because we have all felt the impact of it. The forums are still not back up. There are other features around the community that are still not accessible because we're being extra cautious as to what we do and don't bring up at any one time. Obviously, everything is coming back, but we want to make sure everything is secure before we do so step by step. Now, before I get into everything else, before I get into everything else for today, a few words on how things were handled. An immense amount of credit to every single person on the Turtle team for staying calm, staying focused, and handling things methodically and reasonably. No one truly lost their shit. No one truly stepped out of line. We came together as a group, stayed focused, and handled the situation in the best possible manner. And I want to especially give credit to everyone on the front-facing side of things. So people like the CMs, Acolyx. I'm sorry. Rograg still has me screwed up a little bit on his name. I really do try to do better. Everyone handled things so incredibly well. And it was very much feeling-wise, it was very much this 1-2 punch after everything that happened with the Turtle WoW YouTube page, and everyone was a bit like, okay, shells out defense mode. Everyone was already feeling a little like, okay. We came together in a way that allowed the team to do the work they needed to do, to bring services back up as they were available. The downtime was frustrating. For sure, the downtime was intensely frustrating. It always sucks when you lose days of game time. But the community also was understanding, very, very understanding, and thank you to all of you for that. It's not easy to deal with this kind of thing when you want to protect everyone around you. And more than anything else, with where the Turtle team is, where we are when it comes to our relationship with, I'll say, the greater WoW community in general, in regards to how Blizzard views us, in regards to how a lot of retail players view us. The fact of the matter is that we're in a unique position. That's both a blessing and a curse. That is a blessing much of the time. What we do on Turtle WoW here is unique. It is powerful. And it's inspirational for so many people around the wider Vanilla and Vanilla Plus communities. That also does paint a little bit of a target, though, sometimes. So again, massive credit to everyone for keeping it cool, keeping their heads on straight, and handling the situation so incredibly well. Obviously, the server itself, or the servers themselves, came back up a few days later. The website was back up, I believe, 5 or 6 days after what happened. And now more of everything is coming back up. This was also, and I'm not going to say too much about this because, again, security is a concern, but even with everything else going on, we were able to fall back to more secure methods of communication across the team and stay very focused and on the same page through those methods of communication. So despite anyone's best efforts against us, we're the ones that still have the say in what's going on. No one's gonna be able to step in and tell us otherwise on that. So again, thank you not only to the whole Turtle team for keeping cool under pressure, but thank you to all of you out in the community for being reasonable, understanding as things happened earlier this month and as we got through it all. We appreciate you for that immensely. Now, with that being said, today is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode because, again, we lost the forums still, or I shouldn't say we lost the forums, but the forums are still down. And I'll be honest, a lot of my talking points and topics come from different conversations that happen on the forums every so often. I have been keeping a little bit of a close eye on the Discord, and actually some of you have had some really wonderful questions from the Discord lately, so thank you for that. One thing I do want to mention while I'm here and have the time is if you or your guild or an organization, let's say a roleplay group, does want to get a message out on the radio, that's great. We love that. I love it when people DM me asking me, hey, I want to put X on the radio, or an announcement about this, or an announcement about that. I love that. I love getting those messages because it means you give a damn about the station, about this station, about what we do here. I love that so much. I feel really bad whenever I have to tell you, hey, I really can't put this on air because with the compression on the radio server, it's going to sound really rough. So the best way that we can solve that problem is as soon as you know you want to host an event, let's say you're hosting a role play event over in Crossroads or somewhere, get with us or get with me directly as soon as you can so we can have a script written, we can have our voice artists, because we have, at Everlook, we have a wonderful wide array of staff and voice artists that are able to record these things for you and make them sound damn good. And then Volka, with his editing and his musical choices, makes them sound 10 times better. So, let us know as soon as you have an event that you want to be hosting, and we can actually get a lot of that extra work done for you. It can be an extra guild advertisement. It can be an event. It can be so many different things. I have yet to have a pug group actually reach out for advertising. because I would honestly love to have more of the pug groups on the server talk about what they're doing, share that stuff. That's something I would love to have on the radio. Think about it. And as always, I'm Leto, Dan Leto Hahn, over on the Discord, the official Turtle Discord. My name should be up towards the top on the right-hand side. Reach out to me directly. I'm happy to talk with folks. I'm happy to work with people on getting their announcements on the air. I would love to see more of that going into 2025. I really would. Because, again, this radio is not just about us talking at you or us playing music at you. It can be about you all wanting to use us to talk about what you're doing. I mean, look at a lot what Vrograg does. And huge shout out to Vrograg for the amount of work he does every week on the radio for his news, his economy report. All that he does for Turtle and getting information out there, that's massive. But look at what he does. We can absolutely do more of that. We can do so much more of that. So if you have something you want to get out there, whether it's a guild advertisement, a pickup group notification, or some kind of event or information you want to get out there, let us know. Reach out to me directly. I'm always happy to talk to folks about this. And like I said, I really do love to talk about it because it shows that you all really care about what we do on here. We love you guys. We appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Now, with that being said, we are going to take a bit of a musical break. This might be a little longer than normal because, again, I don't have quite as much content to talk about this week. We're kind of in that little breath we take before a big patch comes out because 1.17.2 is coming. And I hope you all are excited and preparing for it. But we're going to take a short, semi-short, musical break, and then we'll be right back. I'm going to talk about the few patch notes. There's two little bumps on patch notes to talk about, but also Turtle Twitter has been putting out a lot of teasers. And you know what? Let's just take a quick look at that. A short second segment coming up after this break here on Living in the Past. The musical tracks for this episode have been removed due to YouTube copyright. To listen to the full episodes with music, tune in to Everlook Broadcasting every Friday with the in-game radio widget. Welcome back to Living in the Past with myself, Dan. It's good to have you here today. We do have a few rare patch notes to go through, even though the forums aren't back just yet. Certainly, we can talk about a few of them that have happened over the last few weeks. One of the biggest ones, there was a weird Tree of Life exploit that got fixed. I believe that would actually stop you from having the speed reduction that Tree of Life normally should have on it. That was fixed quite a few weeks ago. And then more recently, Lips, or otherwise known as limited invulnerability potions, can now no longer remove negative physical auras. The example they used is Death Wish for warriors. You also can no longer unequip weapons while you're disarmed, because to pick stuff up just to put it down doesn't really make a lot of sense. There are a few other patch notes that have been included, but they're pretty minor stuff. There was another fix earlier on this month where Baron Geddon would continue to follow his little path that he does through Molten Core after being engaged. I've never seen this. I've seen no video of it, but apparently it has happened at least enough to warrant a serious patch to it. I would be curious if anyone actually has video of this, because I think it'd be hilarious. Now then, as a quick reminder, make sure you're getting in-game and changing your passwords and getting your 2FA on. There are some turtle coins in it for you if you do that. Actually, I don't know if those turtle coins are still going out, but certainly make sure you're doing that. Now, while these aren't official patch notes or anything, the Turtle Twitter, that's Turtle Wow Team on Twitter, at Turtle Wow Team, has been posting quite a few teasers. And quite a few interesting teasers. Not only for sets, for example, we have seen some really interesting concept art for the Rogue 3.5 set. The Mage 3.5 set is obviously very medieval styled. Looks gorgeous. That hat especially looks delightful. We have seen a few other big things in the works. One of the biggest things is going to be the increase of stable slots. A third and fourth stable slot will be available come 1.17.2. I know, especially some of my friends, one of my friends that just started on the server is going to be very, very, very happy to hear that. That's going to be really delightful. They have also been posting a lot of potential talent changes. I don't know how absolutely certain these are, because again, nothing is set in stone until the patch actually hits. This is so important to keep in mind. Nothing is set in stone until 1.17.2 actually hits the server, the live servers. So please keep this in mind. However, they have been teasing some class change spoilers. Starting with the first image they post up, for Rogue's Smoke Bomb, which creates a cloud of thick smoke, shocking, in an 8-yard radius around you, targets inside the smoke have a 20% reduced chance to be hit by attacks and spells for the duration. Vrograg will be happy about this because it means he can tank again. Paladins will be getting something called Ironclad, which increases your healing power by 1 or 2% of your armor from items. That could be really big. Endless Quiver for Hunters. Your auto attacks have a 3 or 6% chance to fire an additional shot. This shot does not spend ammo. For Shamans, Flame Guidance increases the range of your Flame Shock and Searing Totem by 10 yards, and casting Flame Shock will now cause Searing Totem to focus that target. I love that. And probably the biggest one of this post was from very, very late, like the end of July, and I think this one got the most conversation about it on Discord. Aesina's Bloom. I'm always mispronounce that character's name. Healing Touch has a 5 or 10% chance to instantly heal a friendly target an amount equal to 9 seconds of regrowth if the target is affected by regrowth. Any druid's regrowth is applicable for this effect. This is going to open up some serious synergy for raid healing. That's going to be huge. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see what druids have to do with that. Druid healing is, I think, the most fun healing, personally. I love druid healing. I'm currently in the process of trying to level a druid, but then I do a lot of raiding right now, so it's been tough to make the time. Anywho, more talent change hints that have come out this month. This is from August 2nd, so just a few days after that last post. For Rogues, Carve. A sweeping attack that strikes up to 5 enemies in an 8-yard cone in front of you for 60% weapon damage. The ability shares a cooldown with multi-shot. Oh, that's not Rogue, that's Hunter. Oh, that's Survival Hunter. Oh, interesting. For Priests, Force of Will. Increase your spell damage and the critical strike chance of your offensive spells by 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5%, and the amount of damage absorbed by your power word shield by 4, 8, 12, 16, or 20%. Now, this, I believe, is in the discipline tree. And I don't believe it's too high in the discipline tree either. I think it's going to be shoved potentially on the 4th tier of the discipline tree. We'll see about that. But that might make it just barely in range for Shadow Priests. And I really hope that... So, side note here real quick. We're having a side note. We're having a sidebar here about Shadow Priests real quick. Shadow Priest scaling right now is pretty much just add more spell power, do good. That's pretty much it. That's it. We really can't use haste. We can't really use crit. We get more spell power, though we do more good zappy blasty stuff. That's literally how it's scaling right now. My hopes and dreams, these are Dan's hopes and dreams, is that the Class Change Council gives us the gift of crit. Our abilities should be able to crit in some capacity. Obviously, Mind Blast, Pain Spike, those can crit. Those can already crit. So we get a little bit out of crit. We just need Shadow Word Pain and Mind Flay to get something out of crit, which will allow us to scale much more effectively with the rest of the casters, offensive casters, in the game. In addition, Smite Spec, which I've been experimenting with, we'll get into that here in a little bit. Smite Spec does use quite a lot of crit. It has more crit built into the spec, and it can utilize crit much more effectively. The stat is already there on that side of things to be used. So, I think it makes sense if Shadow Priests are able to take advantage of crit. That's my hopes and dreams. If we get the ability to... If Shadow Priests in 117.2 get to utilize crit effectively and get some kind of AoE, I'm going to be so happy. I'm not going to say a word. I'm going to be totally fine. I'm not going to complain. Even if every other class gets buffed more than we do, I'll be perfectly fine. I'll be totally happy. Back to the patch notes / updates. For Warriors, improved Shout. Increase the melee attack power bonus of your battle shout by 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25%, and increases the melee attack power reduction of your demoralizing shout by 8, 16, 24, 32, 40%. Love it. You're getting benefits across the board here. And honestly, anything that's increasing the amount of attack power you're stacking as a Fury, because this is in the Fury tree, 3rd tier, so good. So good. Love it. It's perfect. Yes, please. For mages, Hot Streak. Gives your Fireball and Fire Blast spell criticals a 33, 66, and 100% chance to grant you a stack of the Hot Streak effect. Hot Streak effect lowers the cast time of your next Pyroblast by 0.5 seconds per stack and lasts 30 seconds. Stacks up to 3, 6, or 9 times. Do the math on that real quick for me. Just do the math. Do the math. I'll wait. At 9 stacks, that's a 4.5 second reduction in your cast time for Pyroblast. If I put those numbers things into a calculator, it gives me a happy face. Yeah, I'm rolling a mage. I'm rolling a mage. Yes, please. That looks incredible. Now, another thing that they tweeted out here was I'm going to say a little progress window for different classes. And this is from August 5th. There are apparently a total of 15 completed classes for class changes. The ones that are visible: Ret Paladin, Holy Paladin, Baseline Paladin, Protection Paladin, Baseline Hunter, and then Enhancement Elemental and Restoration Shamans. In progress: Baseline Shaman, Discipline Priest, Baseline Rogue. Not started yet. And again, this is as of August 5th, so these all could have been finished by now. Marksmanship Hunter, Survival Hunter, Beast Mastery Hunter, Hunter Pet Abilities, Fire Mage, Assassination Rogue, Combat Rogue, and Subtlety Rogue. Now, the other important part about this image is not started. There are 8, and I just said all 8 of those. Completed, there are 15, which we can only see 8 of. Which means if any of those weren't one of the 8 I just said under not started, it means your class might be done. So that's just real good news right there. That's incredible news right there. More recent teasers, Enhancement Shamans are getting some threat assistance for tanking. Totemic Alliance. This is the second tier in Enhancement, and you gain 30 or 60% of the threat generated by your totems. Okay. So your totem threat is going to you, or rather, you're getting extra threat based on those totems, which is darn nice. Next, Destro Warlocks. Destro Warlocks are getting a little bit of support from Soulfire. Improved Soulfire reduces the cooldown of your Soulfire by 15 or 30 seconds and gives your Soulfire a 50 or 100% chance to refund a Soul Shard when it lands. You'd love to see that. You love to see that. They've also tweeted out a lot of maps, a lot of different wonderful flavor bits. A lot of 3D models, actually, that were in one image very recently on the Turtle Twitter. And then they've also been doing a lot of art. Some new individuals brought on the team for art, and they've been putting out some wonderful images for Kara 40, which I'm very excited for. Now, the last thing I want to mention, this is kind of the bigger thing that's happened for Turtle in the last couple weeks. Hard Chores. Hard Chores has done the very first, this month, hardcore Nefarian kill. And because of that, they have received the Conqueror of the Dragons title. This is massive. And the image, I love the image that they posted up. It's one of those really awesome traditional guild boss kill images. I love these so much. Congratulations to Hard Chores. A hardcore Nefarian kill. The amount of stuff that can go wrong in Blackwing Lair. My God. But they did it. So congratulations to Hard Chores. You earned your title, Conquerors of the Dragons. You'll love to see it. All right, another quick break, and then we're going to talk about me, one of my favorite topics of all time. We're going to talk about a lot of the progress I've been making. I mentioned my Shadow Priest there. I have been doing a lot. So we're going to talk about the guild I joined and what all I have been up to in the last few months. On not just my Shadow Priest, but a little bit on the Warrior, too. A little bit on the Warrior as well. So, more Living in the Past coming up after this musical break. The musical tracks for this episode have been removed due to YouTube copyright. To listen to the full episodes with music, tune in to Everlook Broadcasting every Friday with the in-game radio widget. And welcome back to our final segment here of Living in the Past with myself, Dan. It's good to have you here once again for the month of August. Now, as a reminder, for next month, September, we are going to be doing the guild shoutouts once again. I try to do this once a quarter right now, and make sure you're posting regularly in the Discord. I can't rely on the forums to do this, so please, as I always remind you, make sure you're posting your guild advertisements on the Discord. If you don't have permission, if you're a guild leader that doesn't have access to that, just ask in the support channel. They'll be able to get it to you. Also, if you're a content creator, if you're a streamer, and you stream Turtle WoW, we would love to see you post up in the live channel in Discord. I do it every Friday morning starting at 7 a.m. Eastern. You can find me over on my Twitch channel, which will be linked in. I'm not actually going to give you the link now because I want you all to go to the live channel Friday mornings and click through to join me there. I want everyone to be looking at that live channel. If you are a content creator in any capacity that streams Turtle WoW, you have the ability to post in the live channel. All you need to do is request access. And that's, again, given by asking for it in the support channel in Discord. The more people are posting there, the more activity we're generating, and the more visibility we have through that part of the Discord. I would love to see the live channel flooded with regular amounts of activity. I want to see so many people live during their time on Turtle WoW. I want to see 3 or 4 people live at all times. And then, especially if you're on Twitch, we can start supporting each other through raids. Not in-game raids, it's the Twitch raids. But please, I would love to see more people streaming from Turtle WoW. So make sure, if you do so, request access for that channel through support. Now, with that being said, I wanted to talk a moment about my personal progress over the last couple months. A couple months ago, I went from jumping between pug groups and whatnot to actually joining a guild. I wanted to sit down and be a little more serious about things. I tried out a few different groups, and in the end, I stuck with Nerds of a Feather. So, a quick shout out to all of the wonderful folks over at Nerds of a Feather, except for Moolah, who I think I have a vendetta against because of the Words of a Feather newsletter and the amount of puns that go on. So, Moolah, you're on notice. You're on notice, but I still appreciate you. I originally joined as a Shadow Priest because, honestly, Shadow Priest, Zap Snaps, was my best geared character, and still is. Very much still is. BWL was something that I'd already really kind of mastered on the Shadow Priest, which I enjoy, but I was definitely ready for AQ40. And in the span of about a month and a half, I've been able to go from starting to enter AQ40 on Zaps to now, in the last couple weeks, having multiple KT kills. Now, I do feel like I contribute, but I know I'm still in a very much a learning process for all of that. And I'm very grateful to Nerds of a Feather for letting me learn how to be a ranged caster somewhere where I've almost always been melee DPS. It's a very different experience. Going from Fury Warrior to not playing it for a while to now Shadow Priest is a very weird transition. It's a little odd. But I've loved my time already there. I have 4 tier 3 tokens that I've run on off-spec rolls, because Shadow Priest, you're not going to roll main spec on any of those. But I have 4 tier 3 tokens ready to go as soon as the new sets come in, the alternative tier sets. I don't know if that's exactly how tier 3 is going to work with tokens. I assume it is, and I hope it is, because I have those 3 ready to go, but we'll see. That's going to be a we'll see scenario. With that being said, though, I've also gotten some other really wonderful pieces. The wand off of Patchwork, the spell power and hit wand, stellar, love it. It's given me some really good gear flexibility with other pieces that I want to switch in that have more spell power on them. I also picked up, and I feel bad for taking these. I feel really bad for taking these, but also they're my best in slot leggings, is the leggings off Thaddeus. High spell power and 2 crit. technically the Kazakh leggings are my best in slot, but I don't have access to Kazakh. I don't even know who actually does Kazakh on this server, but he's always dead. And they're very good at what they do. Also, getting to experiment a bit more with how priests actually do damage. I've talked about it before, not on this show or live, but if you know me and I've raided with you, I've talked about it with a guy named Damon, who's actually in squad now, and I hope he's doing exceptionally well, and a guy named PCN about Holy Priest DPS, Smite Spec. I picked up a Smite Spec earlier last week, so I could be a little more useful in raids overall, because sometimes you need to be able to AoE. And I just have actually started really learning how I can use it more to really put out more intense short-term DPS. And it definitely takes a whole new set of gear, because obviously as Shadow Priest, you're gifted 10% hit. So you really don't need to worry about it. So it's taken a lot of, I need to figure out what actual gear I'm using when it comes to Smite Spec. I don't give the group any mana, and boy, my mana bar tanks itself to death, but Holy DPS actually really pumps in the short term. You have to have the very specific gear for it, and I don't. But it's fun. I was messing around with it quite a bit earlier this week. It has been a lot of fun. I can actually farm lashers now, which, God, I need. Raiding Nax is it's expensive. That's real expensive. That's pricey. Also, I have to say, as a Shadow Priest, I love Nax. I really love Nax. Like, not only the two fights that I get to do mind control nonsense with, Fairlena's mobs, by the way, hit like trucks. So if anyone isn't doing mind control nonsense with those mobs, get on that. Get on that game, like, fast. It's really worth it. But not only is the mind control stuff, just it's a lot of fun, but a lot of those fights where you're able to provide a lot of mana and a lot of return on investment over the course of an entire fight is really nice. It's really, really nice. I find myself being incredibly useful across the board. Like, there's only a few fights where I'm like, God, I'm really not. What am I even doing here? And especially with a long fight like KT, being able to keep a group's mana bars charged up, because I'm over 600 spell power right now in my Shadow Gear. And let me tell you what, I'm given a lot of mana and health back because of that. It's really satisfying. It's really satisfying. Also, because Nerds of a Feather also does EU and NA raids, on the rare occasion, I'm able to hop in on the EU raids on my Warrior, and I'm starting to get some really fun pickups. Next Monday, I am probably getting some 2.5 on him finally, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited for that. That's gonna be really good. That's kind of where I am right now. And again, I want to do a huge shout out and thank you to Nerds of a Feather for accepting me, dealing with how much of a loudmouth I am. Because I'll be honest, I am a bit loud and obnoxious during raids, and I appreciate that they tolerate the hell out of me. So thank you, nerds, for that. With that being said, that's everything I have for you for this month. Coming up early next month, and then probably towards the end of September, we're going to have a pair of a look under the shells, now that things have settled down and we're able to schedule them. And we're going to be talking to some really important people on the team about what's going on with 117.2, where things are at, and what we can expect. I cannot wait for these conversations. They're going to be so good. Thank you for taking the time to join me today Our nostalgia continues even though today's broadcast is at an end, and I hope you enjoyed the show here today. A huge thank you to the Turtle developers, moderators, staff, and volunteers. Without the entire team's hard work and dedication, we wouldn't have this station or server group. An additional thank you to the audio engineers and creators here for the use of their soundtracks they've created, which we use for segment transitions and intro audio. If you'd like to find out more about what I do, I invite you to check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/TheDanNation and my series Ancient Lore, a recapture of the spirit of my original podcast, The Ancient of Lore. Until next month, let's keep living in the past.